Alright, so here we are again. Today I'm actually going to take a look at the Prog-Whales. These are my prey species. I'm going to set it to 2.16 speed. Prog-Whale, 16K size ratio max. What this tells me is that I took the snapshot for this species at 16,000 generations. Over 16, between 16 and 17, probably low 16, but I don't know for sure. And this is the change that I made to the species when I made that snapshot. Size ratio max, which means I came in here and I turned this size ratio from what was about 1.4 to 2.5. In the 1,000+ generations that this species has been brewing since then, it has reduced its size ratio to 2.36, which is not a tremendous amount. These guys are monocular. They only see in a very, very low range. Specifically, it is 64 degrees, 65 degrees. They can't see much. Not a lot of input, but it is almost maxed out. 200 is the max, and they are at 199, so they can see as far as they possibly could. This is their life cycle right here. They are born, they grab a plant, and they suck it up as fast as they possibly can. This one is currently turning plants into growth at a rate of between 6.5 and 4 energy per second. This thing's growing fast, and they have to because they start out small and they have to get big. So the size gene here, they have to get to 2.36 in order to create offspring. Their eggs also cost about 483 energy per egg, which we're actually gonna follow the baby and start the life cycle over. Egg doesn't take very long to hatch. They start off with 160 energy and 1.08 size factor. So they skip the larva stage entirely. Right now he is growing at just under and sometimes over 7 energy a second. And unfortunately, that is a very common reality of Prog-Whale life. So we get another baby. Kind of the same general deal. It's got plants to find. Remember, it can only see very, very narrowly in front of it. But there's enough plants here, that's honestly fine. Loads up its stomach, burns it as fast as possible, putting everything that it can into growth because it has, again, 1.3 something in size that it has to grow before it can start laying eggs. The purpose of this particular species really is just to turn plants into big bibites as quickly as possible, and they do a fantastic job. These things are extremely difficult to kill off, and that right there, over here in the bottom right, is exactly why they exist, to feed progs. But this isn't about the progs. This is about the Prog-Whales. Their brain's not super complex. If we look at the expanded window, they have 10 hidden neurons and 53 synapses. Let this continue to play. I haven't really looked at this recently, so I don't fully know how it works. They do have, 2 inputs into rotate. Not that one. 2 inputs into rotate. So plant angle is the first priority at 47, which is, you get high numbers like that with really high generation bibites that it means that this particular stat is consistently important to have. The sim puts a lot of points into it over time. The other connection to rotate is this absolute, which is barely connected to anything. There's a little bit of maturity. There's a little bit of number of meats, but it's all gray, right? So the only thing remaining is green bibit, and if it sees a green bibit, it turns ever so slightly left. This has about 0.7 green in it. So if it sees that, it tries to avoid at least a little bit. They still kill each other quite frequently. So not a heck of a lot in the way of avoidance behavior. What else do we have? Want to egg is just aren't on. Green means go, which is interesting because green pheromone, which is interesting because progs use green pheromone to tell each other where these guys are. So the more green there is, the faster they want to go. I don't know if this came before or after, but it's there. We have a Gaussian, which isn't connected, isn't hooked up at all. We have a hidden node here, or a hidden synapse. But it was number of Bibites. That's an interesting connection. By and large, unless it's green, they're going to bite. They're going to grab. So they definitely seem to recognize the green Bibit in each other, because I see... Right, the avoidance behavior as well as the don't grab. Also, when they see a green Bibit, they slow down. There's a negative output on this ReLU, which is not an efficient way to make this connection, but hey, whatever works. But yes, if they see each other, they slow down a little bit. Progs don't have green in them, so they don't. This doesn't impact them. What else we got? They don't really... It seems like everything is pointing towards turning blue pheromone off, which makes sense because blue pheromone is extremely dangerous. That's where hunting progs infestors, go. They use blue to tell each other that there's meat here. So if these guys start emitting blue pheromone, they're going to attract progs, the infestors, and they're going to likely become dead. They did. So let's go to the oldest. This is the big guy. Mr. Big Guy is not even mature. 1374 seconds, so almost half an hour? Not quite a half an hour. A little over a third of an hour. 20 minutes. Kind of got derailed. I don't know why this guy's not... Well, okay, so here the reason he's not mature is likely because there's no food around here. So he's probably been going around in circles just looking for food. And since eggs cost 483 energy, it's very likely that he'll have enough energy to make trips. Well, hold on, he can't lay an egg anyway. So yeah, plenty of energy for looking around. Okay, so this is the oldest one's first baby. Let's see what this prog does. I think the prog is going to eat this guy. Or not. Well, so long. Unfortunately, that doesn't leave a... What are you even doing? He's just going all the way up here. Not a lot going on with this guy. He's just going to turn this plant into maybe 1 or 2 more babies. And then continue on his merry way. I would like to find one that's more interesting. No. Maybe. There's a little bit going on around you. Dead. We're going to watch this. Whoops. Okay, that's not fair. I took it away from it. Yeah, you are lucky. You were lucky. I'm just going to let it go. What happened? Let's take a look at this guy. I have to admit, I personally don't think the herbivores are nearly as interesting to watch as the predators. They definitely do their thing, right? But I don't necessarily have a lot to say. I keep finding myself focused on these trails that the predator progs keep leaving. Which, you know, they're doing all right. This happens a lot, where the predator feeds itself into the corner of the whale's mouth. It's hard to be a predator prog. So what else do we have going on here? Strength is almost maxed out. Defense is only at about half, which is a little uncommon when it comes to prey species, I've found. They tend to, at least early on, have extremely high defense. This guy, though, this guy is all about turning plants into baby eggs at a very high rate. They just have a long maturity timer. And kill the prog, kill the infestor. I see how these things are doing a good job. I don't have any problem whatsoever keeping these things alive in my tank. They just go, right? And this isn't necessarily an easy map to survive in either. Especially for whales. I find that training whales is difficult because they require a lot of energy. A lot of energy. And little specks like this, even if it could catch it, it's just not enough. But they do go on very long trips. See, he still has a little over 400 energy left, and he's been going around in circles for at least a minute. And one of the unfortunate aspects of their eyesight is that they can't see things at an angle like that. They can only see just far enough forward, which means they just pass so much food. They're not intelligent, really. They don't have much in the way of complex feeding behavior. It's always just slurp it up as fast as you possibly can and burn it. They also don't have a lot in the way of storage, food storage, like some species will. See, he's still burning it just as fast as he can, turning it into energy. And if he gets enough energy from that to lay an egg, he will lay the egg, even if it kills him. Let's take a look at the metabolism. The metabolism is 0.6, the movement is 0.3. The brain is 0.08, which is really tiny. Let's take a look at the infestor here. This one's about to die. This one, the brain energy cost per second is 0.14, so almost double what the whale has. Of course, the whale doesn't have to make such complex decisions to stay alive. So that was a risky egg. Only has about 100 energy left after that, and just got bit. So this one's done. Rest in peace. I think just a little bit more of this, and I'll call it good for this video. I don't think the introduction of Prog-Whales requires 30 minutes. Slurpy, slurpy. And this right here, this is just so much of the life of an herbivore, is just grab, plant, and grow. These guys barely even have any interactive adaptations. In smaller species, I've noticed that there's definitely social behaviors that come out. They respond to each other a lot more. These guys barely respond to each other at all. They're so stupid. They're so stupid, but that's what makes them work. Now this is interesting to me because he's going down to almost 20 energy with a stomach full of food. So he is burning, honestly, quite efficiently. He's not storing up any energy whatsoever. And he's just getting big. Which makes sense. They have to get big as quickly as possible so they can start laying eggs, right? That's what this whole game is about. How many eggs can you lay? How quickly can you lay them? I'm curious to see. Nope, you don't get to bite this one. We're going to watch and see how long it takes to mature. Sometimes you have to intervene. And this is maxed out. He is growing as fast as he possibly can. No! Oops. Let's use this one. Let's use this one. So unfortunately now we also have to heal. But since what is the trigger for digestion? Not digestion. For growth. Nope. Oh man. Okay, so this is alive for about 300 seconds. It's gonna die. That's good enough. You know what? It almost reached maturity. That did a great job showing the life cycle of a Prog-Whale. It's gonna eventually get eaten by a pink thing.